Hi guys, and welcome to week 7. You guys are almost halfway through the course. I'm going to walk you through this week's module, although it's very similar to last week's. If I come over and click the weekly lab module, we're going to go to the weekly 7 one. This week we are talking about igneous rocks. Here's a little joke. Igneous rocks was magma before it was cool. There are two different types of igneous rocks you'll be exploring this week. Some that cool faster, like this one, which is considered an extrusive rock, and one that cools slower, called an intrusive rock. So let's go ahead and enter. Upon entering, there are two videos that I strongly suggest you watch to help you in your identification. The first one, this gentleman is incredibly cheesy, but he gets the job done in terms of identifying the main difference between igneous extrusive and igneous intrusive rocks. And then this one is a little more in depth and a little more scholastic in terms of understanding. As soon as you've watched both videos and have a nice grasp of different igneous rocks, I'm going to come to the next page. And then you're going to launch the same interactive you did last week, except this time you're going to be looking at igneous rocks. Upon entering the actual web page, your job is to read through the different information that will help you. Some of it was detailed in that second video. You especially need to know the different textures of rocks. Texture is a little bit different with rocks. It's not talking about the way they feel, it's talking about the way they look. So if they have a very large crystal size, we say they are intrusive and they have a phaneretic texture. If they're fine grained, simply meaning you can't see a lot of crystals within it, it all seems to be pretty much one colored, we consider it to be aphanetic, and that would be an extrusive igneous rock. And then there are some that have kind of special characteristics, special textures based on how they look. Your job is to simply go through the different actual samples and see if you can identify them based on those different pieces. Again, it's very similar to last week's. So this particular one, if I was looking at it, I can see it's very fine grained. I don't see a lot of individual crystals. If it's very fine grained, it's considered to be extrusive aphanetic. So I would click on aphanetic. He's very kind of darkish in nature, so I'm going to guess maybe intermediate, maybe mafic. That refers to the color based on the type of magma there is. So I'm going to think that he's maybe mafic. Based on the characteristics, I'm simply going to match it up now. Mafic and aphanetic both kind of crash in this vicinity here, saying that I think he is basalt. When I go down and I say, am I correct? It says yes. And those of you that have been keeping up with reading, if you're taking the actual class, basalt is the main rock that's usually found on oceanic crust. So then I'm simply going to reset, go to my other ones, and see if I can identify them, and then I will use those particular samples within the embedded quiz this week to answer the assessment. Once I think I have a pretty good grasp, now I'm actually going to take the assessment. Again, I can either link here or here. Some of the characteristics that are going to be asked about igneous rocks are from the reading, some are from the video, and some are from the actual sample. So for example, I will go through here. Again, some of them are basic vocabulary. We just talked about these. You will be using Bowen's reaction series. That second video alluded to what those are. You're going to answer the various different questions. Again, this is a similar one we just talked about, as well as that one. And then one of the questions ties in with El Paso geology. Most of El Paso is covered in what's referred to as andesite, specifically around UTEP. So for that reason, this particular igneous rock is referred to as campus andesite. So based on the different things that you kind of explore in this week's module, your job is to speculate about how it was formed and give me some other information about its formation and the different types of minerals that you would find there. Also within this week, I have put a quick link over here for you for the extra credit. So let me remind you what the extra credit is. The actual extra credit, I've referred to this already once before. The actual extra credit You can submit up to 2 of them, and I will replace any 2 labs that you specify, but it's an all or nothing extra credit. You must tell me which lab you want to replace. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be going on different field trips around the city if you choose to replace those labs that are geology related. After you've gone on the different field trip, you're going to write me a 300-word summary about what you learned and what you did, and then you're going to do small outside research, 1 paragraph, extending your understanding. Embedded within your actual document, you need to include 2 pictures, 1 of the actual site where you were at and 1 of you at the actual site. You must submit it by December 1st in order to be considered. Again, all of these things must be within it where it will not even be considered. It's no partial extra credit. When you're done, you're going to send the actual submission to my email, which is listed here. Upon submission, assuming everything is in order and it is going to be used for one of your weekly lab grades, you will be receiving 100 for that particular activity. So let me remind you where the different things are where you can go on your different field trips. If you go to this particular website, Celebration of Our Mountains, there's a bunch of different things that you can actually kind of go through and take a look at. This particular one right here is one that's being offered at the Trans Mountain branch for EPCC, and it's next week, so I want to talk about that one for just a second. It's next Wednesday from 5 to 8. You do not have to stay the entire time. And again, it's at the Trans Mountain branch. They're going to have an Earth Science Day where they're going to have a bunch of different activities set up, demonstrations, presentations of different sorts. Your job is to simply go through, check out the different locations, and then record what you learned. Again, it will be at the main branch for Trans Mountain next Wednesday. The other one that I just kind of alluded to and talked about was this one, Celebration of Our Mountains. There are different activities that are being offered throughout the month of October that you can go to in fulfillment of this extra credit. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, everybody have a good week.